Going on, everyone? John Matrix here. Hope you're all having yourselves a lovely day wherever you're at and whenever you're watching this. We got a requested video here by a member of our community that we're going to be checking out. This is SCP-1936 Daleport by the Exploring series. Links will be down below in the description, as always, to the original video without my commentary and reaction, and to the Exploring series channel. So please do me a favor. If you enjoyed this video as we go through it, be sure to go over to his channel and give this video a like. And if you have not hit that sub button on his channel, please do so. If you enjoy the Exploring series content, all the videos and whatnot he puts out, he puts a lot of work into his SCP videos as well as others. Makes a lot of great content and definitely deserves the support. So do me a favor and hit that sub button on his channel. If you'd like to join us as I do these reactions live with my YouTube members, there is a join button underneath the video, as well as a link in the description to the YouTube membership benefits tiers that I offer. You can get early access to videos. You can get priority in any kind of reaction requests you might have. There's some members only Discord channels, etc. So take a look at all that stuff, see if any of that would have any kind of interest for you if you want to take your support to the next level. But with all that said, let's jump into the video. Again, this is SCP-1936 Daleport by the Exploring series.
SCP-1936 Daleport. Innocent bystanders getting caught up in nightmarish situations is practically the bread and butter of the horror genre, and the SCP
I was gonna say that's also kind of like standard for SCP
universe is certainly no different. Cosmic horror and Lovecraftian horror are especially focused on the overall insignificance of humanity amidst an uncaring universe, and the tendency for certain foolish individuals to prod and poke what they really shouldn't.
Yep.
Daleport is indeed a story of humans meddling in forces beyond their understanding, but it also contains perhaps a light at the end of the tunnel.
Already interested in the story, like Eldritch horror stuff, a lot of the cosmic god stuff in the SCP universe. Absolutely love it. Like I've said many a time, Bloodborne is one of my favorite games of all time. I love the Eldritch horror themes, so I am down to see where this goes. I think probably one of my favorite SCP stories, I don't remember the number, but I believe it's called like Unfinished Ritual. You know, about how the GOC shut down some kind of ritual that was halfway completed in this fishing town that kind of has like Sarkic or Alagadin ties to it. Very interesting. So I'm wondering if this, with the name Daleport, maybe has some kind of connection, or at least is some kind of similar story. So anyway, let's continue.
For a week and a half in 1997, a strange cloud of gas covered the New England town of Daleport, preventing the Foundation, or anyone else for that matter, from entering the town or observing anything occurring in the town.
Interesting.
When the gas finally cleared, the town was irrevocably changed, and no survivors were located, although the remains of a large number of Daleport residents were found. Many of the buildings in the town were destroyed, and those that remained featured significant anomalous alterations. Some rooms grew smaller when they were entered, eventually preventing an occupant from moving, and a number of residents and Foundation agents are currently irretrievable from these rooms.
Let me get this straight. There was some kind of cloud that came over the city of Daleport that caused all kinds of strange anomalous mutations in both people and buildings. Like, people are trapped in buildings, the rooms have gotten smaller, rearranged. Interesting.
Certain doors would lead to different locations at different times of day, and some corridors would lead to several different locations simultaneously.
What? Okay.
The largest cause of death determined from the remains of Daleport residents seems to be suicide, but many of the remains feature anomalous properties themselves. A smear of entrails and viscera was found capable of picking up radio signals from up to 6 miles away.
What?
And
what? Smear of entrails and viscera is picking up radio signals? Okay. How did they figure that out?
the subject was found with a small plant that gave out a small constant flame. presumably SCP-1612.
Interesting.
A torso was discovered embedded in a wall, which is strange enough, but blood is also seen continually manifesting 15 centimeters above the torso. The body of a man was found with both eyes gouged out, and a steady stream of ashes pouring from his facial orifices. Several corpses were discovered lined up with a charred, circular hole in their foreheads. A female corpse is currently floating 57 meters above the ground. And at 7:42 p.m. every day, several floating torsos are seen simulating the motions of running for 3 minutes before fading away.
What?
So far, this is all, oddly perhaps, par for the course for an anomalous incident in a small town. This is the aftermath, however, and we want to learn more about what actually happened during that week and a half. Luckily, so did the Foundation, and so they had sent in a few expedition teams when the gas cloud first appeared, to ascertain what was going on. The first thing sent in was an unmanned drone, equipped with various sensors, sampling tools, and surveillance equipment, as well as several rats to see if the cloud affected living tissue in any way. The drone entered into the cloud, finding within it a vast, smooth, wasteland-like landscape. The air itself was composed of sulfur, nitrogen, and carbon oxides, but not at a high enough concentration to kill. The rats were seemingly unaffected by the journey. The drone continued 2 kilometers into the cloud, roughly a kilometer beyond where the town of Daleport should have ended. Unfortunately, at this point, communication with the drone began to degrade, despite the equipment being capable of going out to 70 kilometers, and so the drone was returned to base. As you'd expect for an SCP exploration, after the drone is finished, the Foundation sends in the D-Class.
Of course.
2 D-Class were sent into the cloud, equipped with hazmat suits and sensors, riding a larger unmanned drone equipped with a more powerful radio transceiver. They were taken a kilometer into the cloud, at which point one of the D-Class was told to remove their hazmat suit, which they did, suffering no ill effects aside from a slight difficulty in breathing. They continued another couple kilometers across the wasteland, finding nothing, until communication began to degrade, at which point they returned. Well, so far pretty boring, but let's kick it up a notch. Despite finding
So they've sent in rats, nothing happened to them. They sent in D-Class, nothing seemingly happened to them, although just the air being a little difficult to breathe. So the only, I guess, kind of iffy thing is that the town seems to extend further than what they expected, and the drones they've sent out weren't able to operate at the range to, I guess, map out the whole town. That seems to be the case so far, right?
Absolutely nothing so far. The Foundation isn't convinced, and so they send in a mechanized infantry platoon equipped with light armored vehicles. Usually an MTF would be sent in at this point, but for whatever reason, the Foundation suspects that they'll need a bit more firepower.
I wonder why that would be, right? Because from my understanding, that's kind of like the standard protocol, right? The D-Classes go in to, I guess, give them kind of an initial probing of the situation and give them a general idea of what an MTF task could be facing and what MTF task to send in. And then the boys go in and, take it from there. So I wonder what is giving them an indication that they need to send in light armored mechanized infantry division or whatever.
3 kilometers into the cloud, things start to get more interesting. One of the vehicles reports an upwards incline ahead of them, a first in the otherwise flat landscape. Another vehicle, however, reports no incline, but then the first vehicle says that they are now heading down the incline, with no one remarking on the discrepancy. A third vehicle reports that the sky is filled with red and blue patterns that seem to be responsible for screwing up the radio. The next voice heard comes from an unknown source, and speaks in a classic Lovecraftian jumble of letters, undecipherable to the Foundation. Another unknown voice chimes in to note that the first voice said, "Amen, may that heretic burn in the pit." At this point, the platoon was no longer able to receive messages from the home base, but they could still transmit, apparently. Sounds of a firefight break out, along with wildly varying descriptions of the attacking force. 30 minutes later, a third unknown voice is heard on the radio. It uses a number of unknown words throughout its message, but I'll paraphrase. It says that it is the shivering mist covering the town of Daleport, and it says the Foundation's men have been attacked while traversing through it. It says that some of the men have died, but the rest are in safe hands. It also says that evil has been summoned to this town by some sort of heretical society, and it is managing to contain the worst of it. But the
Wait, so the mist is talking to them, telling them this? Like the mist is some kind of entity in and of itself that's trying to fight against and contain something that's been summoned there? Let me rewind this here. Hold up.
30 minutes later, a third unknown voice is heard on the radio. It uses a number of unknown words throughout its message, but I'll paraphrase. It says that it is the shivering mist covering the town of Daleport, and it says the Foundation's men have been attacked while traversing through it. It says that some of the men have died, but the rest are in safe hands. It also says that evil has been summoned to this town by some sort of heretical society.
Well, I mean, off the bat, I would think Sarkics, something with Sarkicism is going on here. And I wonder what the mist is, though. So the mist is giving them a message saying that the SCP Foundation's men are under attack. It's helped some of them, and it's trying to contain whatever, well, I don't think it said specifically contain, but it just says that there is some kind of evil entity that has been summoned here by some kind of heretical society. I mean, I would suspect something with Sarkicism then, but I guess we'll find out.
And it is managing to contain the worst of it, but the town will not be unaffected. A great battle will rage, with a victor ultimately decided, and it asks that the Foundation does not send any more soldiers in, as it cannot protect them.
Interesting.
When the battle is over, it shall leave, and it hopes that we survive the process. Surprisingly, perhaps, the Foundation actually listened, and didn't send in any more manned expeditions into the...
That is very surprising. Usually the Foundation's like, nope, I don't care what you said, we're going to deal with it.
The cloud.
Not only are we going to contain whatever got summoned, we're going to contain you too.
Although they did send in more drones. None of them were capable of locating the town of Daleport. So, we didn't end up actually learning much from the hands-on approach during the incident, so we'll just have to piece together what we can from the remnants. We're next given a few documents written by the town's inhabitants, presumably during the incident. One document recovered from a laptop reads, "Dear Diary, today Mr. Sticky's arm came out of the closet instead of the window. It was even longer than ever, but it was still smoky when I touched it, so my hand hurts. I told Mr. Sticky I didn't want any of his gross food today, and he got mad. He said it was vital to the incubation of the lava. I'm really hungry, so I ate the gross food even though it was green and squirmy.
Ew.
I don't like Mr. Sticky that much." Interesting. There was also a phrase found in multiple locations throughout the town, including stitched into the internal organs of several residents. The phrase reads, "I am sorry that I could not save you. Pangloss." Who is
Interesting that it's... Yeah, let's continue here.
Pangloss, you might ask? Pangloss is arguably one of the most mysterious entities in the entire SCP universe, mentioned in only a handful of SCPs. His habit seems to be leaving notes at the location of various SCPs, giving the impression that he's perhaps a deity of some sorts, or at the very least a capable SCP himself. These notes are short and to the point, such as his note for SCP-1612, the plant with the burning flame, which reads, "Don't let the fire die." Outside of the SCP universe, Pangloss is known as a character in Voltaire's novella, Candide, in which he is a philosopher known for his relentless optimism, and for believing that our world is the best of all possible worlds. Pangloss in SCP seems to borrow concepts from Voltaire's character, as well as elements of the Greek Titan, Prometheus, who
Interesting.
both created man and stole fire from the gods to give to humanity.
So it would seem that Pangloss might be this mist then that is trying to help protect people from whatever was summoned. And it's trying to contain and or destroy this whatever.
Concepts are referenced in SCP-1612, as it's an ever-burning flame that's found across the planet in various locations where humanity got its start.
Okay.
We're getting off track, however, but the main point here is that Pangloss is some sort of mysterious entity that seems to care for humanity.
I think he's been mentioned in only like one or maybe two other SCPs that I've gone over so far. The name sounds familiar, but I can't remember what story it's from. But I remember hearing this creature, this Pangloss from.
Another document was recovered from a store, written by someone that was hiding from whatever was occurring in Daleport.
But it's interesting, right? Like, that he's leaving notes on corpses' organs saying sorry. Like, I wonder what kind of significance that has. Is like by doing that, like cleansing the body from being mutated or turned into something sarkic, you know? Because, like, to my mind, 610 would come, like is like there's some kind of outbreak of 610 here, and it's by like marking these bodies, it's preventing 610 from being able to like take them over and consume them or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Trying to think of what else it could be, but nothing else is really kind of popping up in my mind from anything else that I've gone over in any of the SCPs so far. But it does sound so far like some kind of sarkic something or other could be happening here. I don't know what else it could be.
Running out of food, and they remark that they heard screaming coming from outside, believing it to be their neighbor, but the screaming turned from human into something else. They also heard the local reverend walking past their window again, ranting about something, and they managed to get a glimpse of the reverend, commenting that he had too many spaces in him. They say that they have to get out of here, as they hear one of the big guys coming this way, along with the sound of drums, but their sentence is abruptly cut off. Their final line reads, "I am the voice, and the voice is me." More helpful is the video footage captured from security cameras and other devices during the event. A surveillance camera at a gas station captures an early incident, as a cashier hands a customer a plastic bag. A nearby window shatters, and an unknown organism enters, roughly the height of an adult human, but covered in tentacle-like appendages.
Okay.
The organism quickly decapitates the customer with a tentacle, and leaps over the counter on top of the cashier, as blood and viscera splatter on the nearby wall for 30 seconds. An elderly man wearing a bowler hat and waistcoat enters the gas station, but rather than a face, there is only a triangle branded into their skin. The camera footage begins distorting heavily, and the organism seems to be wary of the individual, but they engage each other. A mere touch from the individual seems to hurt the organism, and the footage ends with the individual throwing the organism through a wall as the ceiling begins to bulge downwards.
Interesting.
A video recovered from a camera outside the library.
So some kind of tentacle creature enters the building, decapitates the person, then some other individual with some kind of triangles like marking on this face enters and basically kills the tentacle organism who seems to have been afraid of it or intimidated by this triangle person. There's a lot of little things here going together, but I'm not really, again, seeing an overall picture just yet. But it seems to be that, yeah, some kind of, again, ritual of some sort seems to have taken place here. And there seems to be, like the mist said, some kind of battle going on between different factions, and I don't really know what they are yet. Again, the only thing I can really think of is something with sarcasm. There hasn't really been anything that kind of would indicate anything from, Church of the Broken God or any kind of, Mechanites. Huh. Or any other kind of faction that I know of so far.
Library shows an out-of-control car crashing into a lamppost. The lamppost splits open, and a spectral entity, partially translucent, emerges from inside the post. The occupants of the crashed car open the doors and begin running down the street, slowly chased by the entity. After several minutes, in which the entity failed to catch up, it stops and releases a blue shockwave, which does reach the fleeing individuals, causing them to become transparent and fade away.
Okay.
A number of cameras captured an event in front of the Daleport Town Hall, which is shown to have sustained significant structural damage. The front doors of the town hall are missing, and in their place is a glowing circle. An entire convoy of vehicles, both civilian and Foundation owned, are speeding down the street towards the town hall, accompanied by humanoid robots carrying firearms of unknown make and manufacture. The civilians disembark the vehicles and run towards the glowing circle at the town hall entrance, urged on by both the Foundation agents and the robots. A 3-meter tall triangular entity covered in technological items emerges from one of the Foundation vehicles.
Technological items. Okay. Well, that would be the first reference that would lead me to think something with the Church of the Broken God here. Technology, etc.
And interacts with one of the items before undergoing a series of convulsions. During these convulsions, a dubstep remix of the song Embers by Owl City was heard faintly through the town hall's microphones. Despite dubstep not being created for another year, and Embers not being released for another 15 years.
What?
The civilians approach the glowing
strange
circle,
reference.
but a fractal-shaped sheet of skin leaps from the roof of the town hall, causing the agents and the robots to open fire on it, to little effect. The skin wraps itself around a civilian's head, at which point the triangular organism rushes over and rips it off, followed by activating a flamethrower, apparently killing it. The civilians enter the glowing circle, disappearing, followed by the Foundation agents and the robots. The triangular entity burns the phrase, "Pangloss grants you sanctuary," into the stonework above the entrance before leaving.
Interesting.
94 civilians and almost all of the missing Foundation agents that had been sent into the cloud were found at the nearby Foundation facility in the weeks following the incident, each suffering from severe memory loss. I know what you might be thinking, that this is all just weirdness for weirdness' sake, but there is indeed a story here, and it comes from a number of documents connected to a local cult known as the Victory Society.
Victory Society.
The first
okay.
note was found on the swollen corpse of James Curtis, a member of the Victory Society. It seems to be a list of things that the cult needs for an unknown purpose. Items include 2 trout, a bottle of milk, virginal blood that is to be mixed with the milk, assorted souls willingly sold, at least 200 beetles, lots of ice,
Okay.
2 bodies that have been dead for at least a year, and some human eyes. More interesting, however, are the comments written in next to some of the items. The virginal blood mixed with the milk is for something referred to as he who walks beneath dreams, who is into that sort of thing, apparently. The
What?
alliteration related to assorted souls willingly sold is a big deal for that which waits inside the horizon. The writer remarks that if Hawshore, the name of the Reverend mentioned earlier with too many spaces in him, thinks that if he has to use the ice to make a sculpture for the shivering mist, he's got another thing coming.
I mean, I'm following stuff that he's going on, but I have like no frame of reference for what he's talking about. I don't know if these are things again that have been mentioned in other SCPs, or if this is something that's just unique to this tale. They're talking about names and things again that I haven't heard of before. So I don't know if these are again references that I'm just not catching or what.
The human eyes are supposedly for the blind one, who has thousands of sockets. Other cult members are gathering other items, while Hawshore just sits at home with his books.
Hmm.
The next passage was written inside the cover of a charred book found outside the Daleport church, and I'll take the time to read it in its entirety. The border of the mural is encompassed by Sylvester, the shivering mist that will descend upon the world during the time of awakening. The mist is all-encompassing, and shall act as a barrier to those wishing to stop the awakening, as well as confine the great trinity of potential victors. The three at the center of the mural are the Great Victor of Flames, the Great Victor of Frost, and the Great Victor of the Storm. They rain down destruction upon one another, with their true names inscribed in unreadable, unknowable runes.
So like, is this some kind of like god or deity battle royale that's happening here? Like, did the mist just like create like a battle royale zone around Daleport, and these aspects of fire, ice, and the storm are like fighting it out to see who gets supremacy over something? Is that what this turns into? Is this like some kind of god battle royale? Like, what?
Around the three are visions of the great battle that contain the majority of those that shall come to this realm, with Diger, the dark god of lampposts, the blind
Dark
one
god of
illuminating the
lampposts.
way for his followers, who leave tributes upon crooked light posts. Digil manifests as the flies pouring out of the mouths of his beloved, and Bakurs to assist in the conflict any way he can, while Nini, the trepanner, frees his followers from the skulls of their oppressors. The shredded cabbage of misfortune will destroy those who oppose the vegetable monarchy. Zin, herald of Marp, commands the army of Lepidoptera to carry those away who sleep with the flowers beneath the silver ash in the dream attics of Inanimatum. The voice of ages, though not visible, is omnipresent, represented by the yellow runes bearing his name hidden throughout the mural. Finally, at the bottom, the minor minions and deities pledge their allegiance to the three victors.
Okay.
Those who pledge their allegiance to the Great Victor of Flames are tinted orange, the Great Victor of Frost, violet, and the Great Victor of Storms, green.
So it is. It's almost like there's like some kind of god battle royale. They've all chosen sides, and now they're gonna duke it out. Okay, interesting. Huh. So I mean, hopefully the tale, before it's over, we find out what the significance of this is. At least these are the questions that I would have right now. Right, like, why was this ritual initiated? What is the significance of this and like the victory of it? Like, did they get some kind of supremacy over something? And if so, like what? Um, I haven't heard any of these deities obviously in any other kind of tale. So, like, what are the significance of these various deities? Do they even have any? You know what I'm saying? Like, are these things just from other dimensions? Like, I don't know. Interesting.
Many, such as he who walks beneath dreams, his face a mere triangle, remain unaligned, and are painted in black, for they are opposed to none, and yet opposed to all. The dark deer, Demax, is shown around the edges, forever excluded by the rest. Sheogorath remains, ruling his kingdom
Sheogorath? We got Elder Scrolls here now?
of two faces, before he himself brings its downfall,
The Mad
only
God?
to be stopped by a great prisoner of the Dragon King. 20 goats stuck together, making a goat ball, spin around and around all the way to Goat Hell. The skeletons forever fight their final war. The conflicts of these minor deities will have little impact on who the great victor of this battle shall be. We're given a description of a great mural that depicts a massive battle between a number of deities and deific figures, ultimately with one victor among three main contenders,
Right.
supported by a number of lesser deities. Yes, that is indeed a mention of the Daedric Prince Sheogorath
Yeah.
from the Elder Scrolls series of video
Yeah.
games,
Yeah, I caught that. Okay. Interesting.
which raises more questions than it answers.
No kidding.
Many deities are apparently unaligned in this great battle, notably he who walks beneath dreams, whose face is a mere triangle. That at least answers a question for us.
No kidding. Okay.
Pangloss, however, is not mentioned, at least not by that name. The cult of the Victory Society was gathering materials for some or all of these entities, but their reasons for doing so are so far unknown.
Right. Exactly.
We're then given a series of journal pages found on the anomalous corpse of Reverend Michael Hawshore, the leader of the Victory Society. In the first page, Hawshore says that he's returning to Daleport, and mentions someone named Godfrey who wished him luck as he left, but was hoping for Hawshore's failure. Hawshore says that he took all of the necessary books from the library, and also mentioned finding a proper way, alluding to the Wanderer's Library. One of the tomes apparently gives off enough heat to burn Hawshore's hand, but he says you can't expect to do something like this without making some minor sacrifices. He finishes by remarking that it's disheartening that there aren't more respectable people interested in this venture, and he's worried about the next time. Written a week and a half later, the second page discusses a priming ritual for the One of Broken Nines, which required blood sacrifice, apparently of a child.
Yikes.
Hawshore had hoped that the child could be anesthetized, but it was not allowed, leaving him a little shaken up.
Yeah.
The child is dead, but he says the child would thank him if it knew why he was doing this. He repeats the phrase, "It's for the good of everybody," and ends by saying that the victor will walk from the rubbles of man and restore clarity to those who remain. The third page was written 12 days later, and Hawshore explains that the Voice of Ages required the blood of a heretic, not specifying any religion. Hawshore had possessed doubts about the devotion of James Curtis to the cause, and so he used his blood. James's blood worked, proving Hawshore correct, adding that James's selfishness would have doomed them all. Hawshore remarks that his time is coming to an end, but he will welcome his death, even if it is not quick. He ends by writing that the world will lie still again on Monday, and it will thank them for it. A transcript of a speech given by Hawshore to members of the Victory Society was also found. Again, for the sake of preserving the narrative importance, I'll read it in its entirety.
Okay.
Brothers and sisters, we come together for the last time today. It has been an honor to work with you all. I could not have hoped for a better group with which to secure the future of mankind. From the dawn of time, terrible impossibilities have spawned from the darkness between stars, not hating life, simply being indifferent to it. We are as ants to these abominations, these demented gods. I use this term as this is what they are called in older texts. You will not find any biblical god here. Or perhaps you will. I do not know.
Hmm.
The use of gods here is this specific form of creature, born from the primordial chaos of this reality, not just a powerful being. Simply powerful beings do not reach the uncaring depths of cruelty and depravity that the gods do. They are so far above us that we are but insects. Accordingly, we shall look as such. In order to gain the forgiveness and favor of the gods, we must learn to know our place before them. Each of these things seeks dominion over the laws of reality itself, imposing the nature of their twisted existences upon stars and planets and people. The only answer to this threat: these gods must be destroyed, the slate wiped clean. We could not do this, by no means, no. But we cannot allow these things to exist. A kingdom cannot have a billion kings. We cannot kill the gods, no. Only a god can kill a god.
So, okay. So it sounds like the whole plan is essentially to pit all these gods against each other so that only one will become victorious and then there'll just be one god left. Why would that be like needed? I mean, like, all these beings, entities are entities of great power that were born from, you know, the primordial soup of the universe. You know, they were created before time existed, yada yada. And so yeah, they're powerful entities, but I mean, they've been around forever and they don't seem to be causing any issues so far, at least that we know of. Maybe they will in the future, who knows. But so, like, I guess my question would be like, why do they have to like have this battle royale to pit all these different gods against each other? You know what I mean? Like, maybe there'll be an answer, but I don't know.
We will bring them here and bind them. Bind them until their bloodlust is sated, until all but one is dead. Always a single god remains, the victor, who returns to whence they came as the only god remaining. But their primordial chaos eventually spawns more gods, more
Right.
twisted angels and demons. And so it all comes to pass again. Our vigilance must be constant, for a new victor must be found again and again.
So obviously this is some kind of, again, cyclical event. You know, from other SCP things that would kind of like make me think that this would be part of how like maybe the High Toths, you know, could potentially be restarted. They have this giant battle between the gods, one becomes the victor, and then the universe is kind of destroyed and rewritten in its image, and then other, you know, it spawns other entities and beings from its own image and recreates the universe and reality in its own image until eventually, you know, this event happens again and the universe keeps being reborn in whatever victorious god's image, kind of a situation. That's kind of what it sounds like.
We will leave a mark in creation.
And again, like, I don't, it doesn't necessarily have to have any kind of connection with the High Toths. That's just like a thought that I had, you know, like that could be how like some of these High Toths could, you know, the universes or whatever cycles could be going.
But it will fade. It will heal. Stand strong as our people have before. Stand strong as the near men in ancient cities did. Stand strong as we did at the gates of Sodom. Stand strong as we have always stood strong, because this must always be done. Fortune favors those who take bold steps. We shall become unified with Inanimatum, entering the Somnium Eternum. May we be forgiven. This is a pretty self-explanatory summary,
Yeah.
as Hawshore lays it all out on the table. There are a lot of elements of cosmic horror present here, but the twist is that rather than the cultists worshipping the ancient godly entities,
Right.
they intend to summon them all into one big battle royale, with one winner. Since these gods are a negative influence on reality, they apparently need to be purged once in a while to keep our existence safe.
Okay. Okay. I mean, so that then I guess does kind of explain that they have some kind of negative effect on existence in reality, so they have to be purged. And I guess that would then mean that, yeah, it has nothing to do with the cycle of creation, etc. I was thinking that that was part of it, right? That like every time there's a god that becomes the victor, they recreate, life and reality in their own image, kind of restarting things. But I guess it's not that big or serious.
Hawshore claims that the Victory Society has been responsible for doing this multiple times in the past,
Okay.
and will continue to do so in the future. The gaseous cloud is placed over the site of this war in order to both prevent outside interference as well as protect the rest of our world. A section of writing was found in the back cover of Hawshore's journal, likely his last remarks. His sanity seems to be slipping away, and his body is already being anomalously affected, as his throat goes somewhere else, but he doesn't like where it goes.
I wouldn't either.
He says the war
I don't know about you, but I like my throat, right where it is in my body. I wouldn't like it going anywhere else either.
going on here is filled with cold, sideways fire. The rest of it is mostly gibberish, involving his hands made of wire and cyanide, and how they must eat babies to quell the Titans.
Okay.
The final entry in the article is a transcript of a video that recorded part of the event from near the church. A large entity composed of stone, soil, and some type of fungus appears above the church, and the camera begins shaking as a sound akin to a distorted whale song is heard. A second entity then appears above the church with a crystalline structure and a bright light emitting from its central spire. A 15-second screech is heard, and all other entities in view cease hostilities with one another and flee. A third entity appears alongside a deep humming sound, but the camera heavily distorts before cutting out. These final three entities are likely the three main contenders for victory, but we're left with no answer as to the winner. In most cases, humans meddling in affairs beyond their power or understanding results in disaster. But Daleport presents a situation in which not only was this meddling controlled, but it was apparently beneficial.
Right.
The SCP Foundation were basically bystanders during these events,
Yeah,
but in all likelihood, they would have ended up approving of the Victory Society's actions. It's usually
it's almost over. I'll wait and summarize.
a bad idea to summon a multitude of dark gods to a small town to wage war on each other.
Usually, yeah.
But sometimes you've got to break a few eggs to make an omelet.
Quote. We getting a quote? Any quotes? We getting a quote? Okay. In a war there is fire, but here the fire is cold and sideways and in the atoms themselves, in the minds, even because my headache like a nut that is cracking because of the baby bird inside it. Okay. I must clean my wounds. My hands are made of wire and cyanide. I can see them towering, and they are nothing. They are the shadow. They are the shadow of the tip of fingernails. No. Okay. To quell the Titans for fire, ice, and lightning, we must eat babies and live happily ever after. It is not right. They are meant to be dead now, not meant to be here, no. Victor shall walk from the rebels of man, and others shall walk behind him. Reverend Hawshore's journal. Okay. All right. Well, interesting tale. That was SCP-1936 Daleport by the Exploring series. So, I mean, as we went through it, again, initially I thought it was some kind of Sarkic something or other going on. But it turns out, yeah, apparently this is some kind of the victory faction. I wonder if there's, you know, any kind of dedicated videos on them, because that's another faction or whatever that I haven't heard about before. But they essentially, yeah, I guess there's various deities and gods that are out there in the universe that are just kind of a byproduct of, I guess, the creation of the universe, and they kind of cause havoc, and their solution is to essentially bring them to our reality, bind them here for a short time, and have them fight it out. And so I guess there was an aspect of fire, ice, and storm or lightning. Those were the three prime deities, I guess, battling it out, and all these minor deities then would choose sides and would fight it out until there's a victor, and whoever wins, I guess, becomes prime deity for whatever extended period of time. They will, you know, other gods and demigods and creatures will spawn from them until eventually, you know, this cycle has to happen again and another victor is chosen, kind of a thing. And so I guess Pangloss seems to be a god, or at least some kind of entity or whatever, that seems to, when this happens, or at least in this instance of this happening, is doing whatever it can to try to protect, you know, humanity, any kind of, you know, humans that are just innocent bystanders that get caught up when this, you know, battle happens. He's out there trying to protect them, warns the SCP Foundation to not send any more people in because they'll just die. There's nothing they can really do. They kind of just have to wait for this battle royale to come to its conclusion, kind of a situation. And I guess I wonder if the triangle entity was some kind of demigod of Meccan or whatever that, yeah, just didn't pick sides, but somehow got summoned into this. You know, because it seemed like he'd tried to help some SCP, you know, Foundation members at one point in time. So I don't know, that's kind of interesting, but you know, because it said that it used some kind of, you know, technology or whatever, so that kind of seems like that would be a reference, you know. But yeah, a lot of the other gods and people and beings were things that I've never heard of before, so I guess they're just kind of contained to whatever this tale is. But it's honestly a fascinating idea and story of, yeah, you know, I guess these deities, these beings have a negative impact on reality, and so the best way to deal with them is to summon them all here and let them fight it out, you know, instead of trying to, I guess, go after them one by one, hunt them down and kill them or something like that, you know. I mean, what else are you gonna do? So interesting. Honestly, you know, I feel like that would be a pretty unique idea for a battle royale game. You know, the battle royale genre is kind of on its way out, I guess. You know, there's you know, really only kind of a handful of games that have kind of made it that are around here, but it would be interesting to have some kind of, you know, battle royale game where you're some kind of god or demigod, and, you know, instead of just guns and armor, you know, you're able to collect various kinds of powers and things like that, and you fight it out with other people who are demigods, and whoever becomes victor, you know, you become a god. You know, that would be kind of an interesting idea for a game. But anyway, so yeah, interesting story, very good one. Thank you for the recommendation. Again, that was SCP-1936 Daleport by the Exploring series. Links will be down below in the description, as always, to the original video without my commentary and reaction, and to the Exploring series channel. So please do me a favor, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, and if you enjoy the Exploring series content, please be sure to give that man a sub. He definitely deserves it. He makes a lot of great content, and yeah, definitely deserves the support. If you'd like to join us as I do these reactions live, there is a join button underneath the video, as well as a link in the description to the YouTube membership benefits and tiers that I offer. Get early access to videos, you know, priority any kind of reaction requests you might have, some members only Discord channels, You know, occasionally we do some community night stuff, game night stuff like that. You can get priority on joining any of those, etc. So yeah, if you want to take your sport to the next level, check out that stuff, see if it would have any interest for you. But thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, you know, consider giving this video of mine a like and a sub, and I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful day. I'll see you guys in the next one.